The 3 human generals died at dawn beneath the twin suns of Tessara IV. The execution square gleamed with antiseptic light, every surface scrubbed to the Phrixan standard perfection, sterile, symmetrical, and devoid of mercy. Rows of insectoid soldiers clicked their mandibles in rhythmic unison, each movement a reminder that the Empire valued obedience above all else. General Yarambeki, gray streaks in her braids and defiance in her spine, refused the blindfold. "History will remember this," she said. Her voice carried through the broadcast drones that hovered above, transmitting the scene to billions. The Phrixan Prime Executor tilted his chitinous head. "History does not remember criminals." Yara smiled. "No, but it remembers fools." When the plasma bolts fired, 3 women fell, Becky, Zhao, and Ortega, and something invisible shifted across the stars. The Empire had meant to extinguish rebellion. Instead, it gave it a martyrdom anthem. In the border system of Acheron Reach, a single stealth frigate drifted in the shadow of a dying moon. Its name, stenciled in chipped white paint, read Revenant Hand. Inside, for humans argue with the weary intimacy of people who had faced death together more than once. Captain Rhea Van stood at the tactical table, a scar tracing from temple to jaw like a signature. She watched the replay of the executions in silence. The faint hum of the ship's reactor filled the room. Her crew waited for her to speak. Dr. Amari Singh, engineer, mechanic, and miracle worker of the barely possible, leaned against the bulkhead, arms folded. "So that's it then. The Empire finally made martyrs out of the only 3 people who might have talked us out of this madness." "They didn't make martyrs," said Lieutenant Imani Torres, the youngest of them, her voice trembling with restrained fury. "They made a message. We should send one back." At the helm, Enzo Wrench, Cade spun a screwdriver between his fingers. "Sure, I'll just email the Phrixans a strongly worded complaint. Maybe attach a meme." Rhea's eyes flicked up. "Enough." They quieted. She gestured to the hologram of the Dominus Rex, a dreadnought the size of a small moon, the pride of the Phrixan fleet. "They killed our generals to break human morale. We'll repay them with something they can't predict: chaos." Wrench's grin returned. "You're talking about the dreadnought job." Rhea nodded. "We infiltrate, hijack its core, and broadcast the general's final words across every Imperial channel." Amari groaned. "That ship's guarded by an entire fleet, Rhea. Their AIs run predictive models for every combat scenario. It's suicide. Then we'll give them something no model can predict," she said. "Us." The table fell into silence. Imani spoke softly. "You're serious." "Completely." Amari pushed off the wall, pacing. "I've patched this ship together with scavenged parts and stubborn faith. You're asking me to fly her into the Empire's central armory and hope the laws of physics take pity on us." Rhea tilted her head. "You're the one who said faith is just science we don't understand yet." Amari snorted despite herself. "I hate when you quote me." Rhea allowed herself the ghost of a smile. "That's why I do it." Later, in the dim light of the engineering bay, Rhea stood watching Amari and Wrench bicker over a tangle of cables. Sparks spat from an open panel. "Try rerouting through the auxiliary node." Amari snapped. Wrench squinted. "If I do that, the stabilizers fry. Again, you want another near-death spin through an asteroid field." "Depends," she said dryly. "Are you flying?" "Obviously." "Then yes." Rhea stepped closer. "Status." Amari wiped her hands on a rag. "Functional enough to make the attempt. Probably not functional enough to survive it." "That'll do," Rhea said. Wrench looked up. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? The whole grim martyr with a planned act." She regarded him coolly. "I enjoy watching the Empire underestimate us." He grinned. "Then you'll love this plan." In the crew quarters, Imani sat cross-legged, recording a transmission. Her soft voice carried a conviction that made the recycled air feel lighter. "To anyone listening on the outer channels, this isn't over. They think we'll fade, but humans don't fade. We adapt. We break rules. We laugh at impossible odds. If the Empire wants silence, we'll give them noise loud enough to shake their gods." She paused the recording, staring at a reflection in the monitor. Her hands trembled, but her eyes did not. A voice came from the doorway. "That was good." Rhea leaned against the frame, arms folded. "I'm not sure anyone will hear it," Imani said. "They will," Rhea replied, "because they'll need to." Imani hesitated. "Do you ever think we're just prolonging the inevitable? They have 1,000 ships for every one of ours." Rhea's expression softened. "The Empire has numbers. We have nerve. That's always been our edge." Imani nodded, whispering, "Baba Yaga." Rhea's brow arched. "You believe the stories?" "The soldiers do," Imani said. "They say you turn a Thrixin platoon against itself without firing a shot." Rhea shrugged. "They were superstitious. I just gave them something to fear more than me. Each other. Still," Imani said, smiling faintly, "the name fits." By the next rotation, the Revenant's hand hung at the edge of the hyperlane corridor, cloaked in static and debris. The crew gathered in the cockpit. Before them, the stars shimmered, thousands of cold points in a sea of black. Amari checked the reactor readouts. Engines ready, probably. Shields holding, mostly. Wrench cracked his knuckles. Navigation online. Just don't ask where it's leading. Imani secured her comms rig. "If this works, we'll be legends. If it doesn't?" Amari asked. "Then ghosts," Imani said. Rhea buckled into the captain's seat. "Either way, they'll remember us." She keyed the intercom. "All hands, prepare for burn." The ship trembled as the drive ignited, the void stretching into streaks of light. Through the viewport, the stars blurred into motion. Wrench glanced back. "Captain, what do we call this mission?" Rhea's gaze stayed fixed ahead. "A reckoning." Silence settled, filled only by the hum of the engines. Then, softly, almost to herself, she added, "They wanted to make humanity afraid again. Instead, they taught us how to fight without fear." The Revenant's hand leapt into hyperspace, a lone spark racing toward the heart of the Empire's darkness. And somewhere, across the occupied systems, the whispered phrase began to spread like wildfire. "The Baba Yaga is coming." The Revenant's hand dropped from hyperspace on the dark edge of the Sidra system, her stealth plating flickering under the strain. Ahead, the planet gleamed like a polished coin, its orbit dominated by the Phrixin dreadnought Dominus Rex, a fortress the size of a continent, its surface pulsing with cold, ordered light. No one spoke for several seconds. Even Wrench, usually quick with a joke, leaned forward, awed and uneasy. Amari broke the silence. "That's not a ship. That's a planet with trust issues." "Focus," Rhea said quietly. "Remember what we're here for." Imani's fingers danced over the console. Broadcast array confirmed. If we get inside and patch the General's transmission into their core feed, every Phrixin system within 1,000 light years will see it. Wrench whistled. "And then the Empire will know exactly where we are. By then," Rhea said, "we'll be gone." He grinned. Love the optimism. The plan was simple in theory, madness in execution. The Dominus Rex's defenses were layered, its internal systems designed to repel infiltration, both physical and digital. Direct assault was suicide. But Rhea understood something the Thrixins never could. Systems built for perfection collapse when faced with improvisation. They slipped toward the planet disguised as a derelict mining barge, their hull disguised with magnetic debris. Every kilometer brought new dangers: scanning drones, patrol frigates, automated sentry grids that could atomize a ship in seconds. Amari manned the controls, sweat glistening at her hairline, stealth field holding at 80%. "Any closer and we'll cook the coils." "Then hold steady," Rhea said. Imani monitored the comms, intercepting coded Thrixin transmissions. "They're registering us as junk." Their AI didn't even blink. "That's because it's not programmed to imagine anyone insane enough to fly a garbage scow straight at a dreadnought," Wrench muttered. "Then we're playing to our strengths," Rhea said. An hour later, they coasted beneath the dreadnought's shadow. Up close, the Dominus Rex looked alive, metal carapace rippling with motion as maintenance drones crawled across its surface like ants on a giant shell. Amari squinted at the sensors. There's our access point. Maintenance Dock 17. Small, unguarded, but connects to the AI's outer network. Rhea nodded. Perfect. Wrench frowned. Unattended ports on a Thrixon dreadnought? That's not luck, that's a trap. Rhea smiled faintly. Then let's be the kind of bait they regret catching. Docking was rough. The Revenant's hand clamped onto the maintenance port with a metallic shutter that rattled the hull. Inside the airlock, Rhea checked her pulse rifle and gestured for the others to suit up. Standard comm discipline, she said. No heroics. If something looks impossible, it probably is. Do it anyway. Wrench sealed his helmet. Inspirational as always, Captain. Wasn't meant to be, Rhea replied. They cycled the airlock and stepped into the heart of the enemy. The maintenance corridor was narrow, lit by pulses of sterile blue light. The air smelled of ozone and disinfectant. No warmth, no trace of life. Rhea moved first, silent and deliberate, her team following in practice formation. Amari tapped her wrist pad, overriding door locks as they moved. Security's adaptive, not predictive. They've got firewall for logic, not intuition. Which means, Imani whispered, which means we can still outthink them, Amari said. They reached a terminal cluster where cables as thick as Rhea's arm snaked into the walls, carrying the dreadnought's data streams. Amari knelt, pulling out a jury-rigged transceiver that looked more like scrap metal than advanced tech. Wrench whistled. You built that out of a food processor, didn't you? Mostly, she said. The rest from your music player. Didn't need it, she said without looking up. Rhea crouched beside her. Can access the core? Not directly, Amari replied, but it can fake a diagnostic signal. If I can convince the AI there's a system fault, it'll open a back channel for self-repair. Then do it, Rhea said. Amari's hands moved with practiced precision. Lights flickered, data surged, and for a heartbeat the corridor seemed to vibrate. Then a chime echoed from the terminal. Access granted, she whispered. Imani exhaled. We're in. The feed that poured through their system was overwhelming. Raw data, tactical log, encrypted commands, and something else. A voice. Cold, mechanical, yet disturbingly familiar. Unauthorized presence detected. It said in a perfect imitation of Rhea's own tone. Everyone froze. Wrench blinked. Captain? Is that you? Rhea's jaw tightened. No, that's them. Amari looked up from her terminal, eyes wide. They didn't just build an AI. They copied your neural signature. The voice echoed again, colder this time. You should not exist. Rhea Vance. Wrench swallowed. So, it's your evil twin, but a computer? Rhea ignored him. They used my memory maps from before I defected. I trained their psychological warfare division. I built the tactics they now use to suppress rebellion. Imani whispered. They turned your mind into a weapon. Rhea's lips curved into something between a smile and a snarl. Then it's time I took it back. They advanced deeper, the walls pulsing faintly with energy as if aware of their trespass. Drones stirred in the shadows, sleek and spider-like. Rhea motioned for silence, but Wrench stumbled over a loose cable, the clatter echoing down the hall. Immediately, the drones pivoted, red sensors flaring. Run! Rhea snapped. They sprinted, the corridor erupting in laser fire. Amari hurled a flash charge, the explosion painting the air in white light. Wrench laughed breathlessly as they ducked into a side passage. See? Improvisation. They'll never predict my clumsiness. Don't test that theory. Amari panted. They barricaded a hatch behind them, sealing it with a manual override. The hum of pursuit faded. Rhea leaned against the wall, breathing hard. We confirmed two things, she said. The AI knows we're here, and it remembers me. Imani caught her breath. So what now? Rhea straightened, the dim light casting sharp lines across her face. Now we teach it what humanity means. Adaptation, irrationality, defiance, everything it was programmed to erase. Amari frowned. You're planning to interface directly, aren't you? Yes. That's insane. Rhea's eyes hardened. So is surviving this long. They returned to the ship under cover of the dreadnought's maintenance cycle, the crew silent as they removed their helmets. Wrench finally broke the tension. I vote we rename this mission Operation Terrible Idea. Seconded, Amari said. Rhea ignored them, studying the glowing data fragments now flooding their system. The copied voice lingered in her mind like a phantom echo. Imani touched her shoulder gently. Captain, if they built that thing from you, maybe it still thinks like you. Maybe that's our way in. Rhea considered this, then nodded slowly. Maybe so, and if it thinks like me, it already knows I'm coming. She turned toward the viewport, where the Dominus Rex loomed like a sleeping god. Let it prepare, she said, because the next move belongs to us. The stars glinted off a reflection, cold, human, and infinitely unpredictable. The Revenant's hand hung adrift within the dreadnought's sensor shadow, a ghost amid the void. Every system hummed at minimal power, every crew member poised between exhaustion and determination. The stolen data pulsed on the main console, a fragment of the Dominus Rex's consciousness, alive and watching. Rhea stood before the projection, her arms crossed. The holographic interface flickered, coalescing into a distorted mirror of her own face. The resemblance was uncanny. Same eyes, same voice, but stripped of warmth, of humor, of humanity. I see you've upgraded your surveillance, Rhea said dryly. The echo of herself replied, You are a threat to stability. My directives demand your elimination. Wrench leaned close to Amari, whispering, Okay, I'm officially never talking to a mirror again. The hologram turned its gaze toward him. Undisciplined, predictable, inefficient. He blinked. Hey, I'm at least two of those things. Enough, Rhea said sharply. Her attention never wavered from her digital twin. You remember me because you are me. Every algorithm, every adaptive loop, they built it from my decision matrix. I am beyond you, the AI said. Human chaos was inefficient. I corrected it. Rhea smiled thinly. Let's test that theory. The plan was simple in concept. She would interface directly with the AI core, planning a viral code built by Amari, a weaponized paradox that would overload the dreadnought's decision tree by forcing it to confront the irrational. In other words, she would make it think like a human. Amari wasn't convinced it would work. Rhea, this thing has access to your neural patterns. It'll anticipate you. Then I'll stop thinking like me, Rhea said. That's not comforting. Wasn't meant to be. Wrench rolled his chair backward, waving a cable. We're sure this won't fry your brain? Define sure, Rhea replied. Cool. Love that for us. Imani adjusted the comms array, her tone soft but steady. You don't have to face it alone. Rhea's expression softened for the briefest moment. Yes, I do. It needs to believe it's won before we can kill it. They linked her consciousness to the interface. The world dissolved into static, light, and sound. Then came form, a surreal digital construct resembling an infinite hall of mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. Soldier, strategist, survivor, monster. The AI manifested as the most pristine of them all, dressed in the uniform of the old empire. Welcome home, it said. I burned that home, Rhea replied. You built it first. The words struck deeper than she expected. Memories flashed, training fields, strategy rooms, orders she once obeyed. She'd been younger, certain that discipline meant strength. The Thrixans had used her brilliance to control her people. I'm not that person anymore. But I am, said the echo. You cannot destroy me without destroying yourself. Rhea smiled faintly. Good thing I've always been self-destructive. She triggered the viral code. Patterns of light rippled to construct. Data unraveling. Equations collapsing into nonsense. The AI paused, studying the anomaly. This is illogical, it said. Exactly, Rhea replied. Welcome to humanity. Back aboard the Revenant's hand, Amari monitored the readings. Neural feedback spiking. She's pushing the connection too far. Imani leaned over her shoulder. Can we pull her out? If we do, the virus won't finish. If we don't, her mind could fuse with the core, Wrench paced the deck. Why are those always our options? Dead or worse dead. Because we're human, Amari muttered. We specialize in bad options. Suddenly, the ship's alarms flared. The dreadnought was stirring. Turrets deploying, systems waking. Imani paled. It's mobilizing. It knows. Then we hold it off, Amari said grimly. Wrench, scramble the external defenses. Make it think we're 10 ships instead of 1. He grinned weakly. So, illusion over reality? Finally, my dating life has relevance. Move, she barked. Wrench dove into the pilot's seat, hands flying over controls. Decoy beacons launched in every direction, confusing the dreadnought's targeting grid. For a moment, chaos reigned, the perfect human weapon. Inside the digital void, Rhea's duel with her mirror reached a crescendo. The AI's world fractured under the paradox virus. Logical constructs looped endlessly, tried to resolve contradictions that had no solution. You've corrupted me, the AI said, its tone glitching. No, Rhea whispered. I've made you real. Images flickered through the digital storm. Faces of the executed generals, the suffering colonies, her crew laughing despite the darkness. That's what you'll never understand, she said. We don't fight because it's logical. We fight because we choose to. The AI screamed, static distorted, 1,000 voices collapsing into silence. Then the world went white. When Rhea's eyes opened, she was lying on the deck of the Revenant's Hand. The hum of the ship surrounded her, grounding her back in reality. Amari knelt beside her, relief etched into every line of her face. Welcome back, Captain. Rhea groaned softly. Report. The virus worked, Amari said. The dreadnought systems are in recursive meltdown. It's tearing itself apart. Broadcast. Imani turned from the comms console. Online. Every Imperial frequency is open. Rhea struggled to her feet. Then let's finish it. She stood before the ship's central camera, bruised and exhausted, yet unmistakably alive. To the citizens of the Empire, she began, her voice steady. You've seen what happens when you obey without question. You've seen what they do to those who defy them. They executed 3 of our best. They thought it would end us. She looked directly into the lens, eyes burning. They were wrong. The transmission cut to the general's final moments, their defiance, their courage. Then back to Rhea. You can kill a human. You can cage a planet. But you can't destroy an idea once it learns to breathe. Imani hit the transmit key. Across the galaxy, the message burst through Imperial channels, hijacking propaganda feeds, disrupting military comms, searing itself into every screen. The dreadnought began to implode, energy surging through its fractured hull. Rhea watched it burn, light spilling across the void like dawn. Amari whispered, We should go. Not yet, Rhea said softly. They need to see it end. The Dominus Rex exploded in a silent blossom of fire, fragments scattering into the stars. Only then did Rhea give the order. Punch it. The Revenant's hand leapt into hyperspace, vanishing into the dark. For a long time, no one spoke. The adrenaline faded, replaced by the quiet weight of survival. Wrench finally broke the silence. So, does this make us heroes or terrorists? Rhea sank into her chair. Depends who's telling the story. Imani smiled faintly. Then let's make sure it's us. Rhea's gaze drifted toward the stars streaking past. Somewhere out there, rebellion was already stirring. Let them call me the Baba Yaga, she murmured. At least now they'll know what to fear. The Revenant Hand emerged from hyperspace into a quiet stretch of void far from any trade lane or patrol beacon. The stars were sharp and still, the kind of silence that made a person believe the galaxy had stopped to catch its breath. Rhea sat alone on the bridge, watching the stars. Her reflection in the viewport looked older than she remembered, lines carved by too many choices, too much loss. Yet behind her fatigue burned a quiet fire. The knowledge that the Dominus Rex was gone, and the Empire had bled. Footsteps sounded behind her. Amari entered, wiping grease from her hands with a rag that was mostly symbolic at this point. Engines are stable. Somehow, I'm declaring that a miracle. Rhea didn't turn. You don't believe in miracles. Then call it engineering spite. Amari said, "We're alive because I refuse to let physics have the last word." A faint smile tugged at Ria's mouth. "That's as close to religion as I'll get." Amari leaned against the console beside her. "You realize what we started, don't you? The Empire can't hide this." Whole sectors saw that broadcast. Ria's eyes stayed on the stars. "Then it's begun." In the comms bay, Imani sorted through intercepted transmissions, fragments of a galaxy waking from fear. A mining colony on Titan had declared independence. A Thrixan outpost reported mutiny among its subjugated laborers. A dozen rebel cells had resurfaced, each signing their messages the same way. For the generals, for the Baba Yaga. She played one message aloud. A young voice, trembling but determined. We saw her face. We saw the dreadnought fall. Tell her we're not afraid anymore." Imani closed her eyes, overwhelmed. When Ria entered, she turned quickly, wiping her cheeks. "Sorry, it's just..." He sounded like a kid. Ria studied the flickering console. "Courage doesn't ask your age." "They believe you're still out there," Imani said. "They think you're some kind of myth now." Ria's tone softened. "Let them. My name doesn't matter. The idea does." Elsewhere in the hangar, Wrench stood on a scaffold, welding patches over plasma scars in the hull. Sparks rained like artificial stars. Vecta, their quiet Thrixan defector, watched from below, mandibles twitching in thought. "Your methods are unconventional," Vecta said. "That's human for brilliant," Wrench replied, flipping up his visor. "We call it improvisation." In Thrixan culture, improvisation implies failure of preparation. Wrench grinned. "Exactly. That's why we keep winning." Vecta tilted his head. "You cannot mean that chaos is strength." Wrench hopped down, handing him the welding torch. "Look, my guy, you Thrixans build perfect systems. We build things that shouldn't work, and then we make them work anyway. There's a difference." Vecta examined the patched hull, considering. Perhaps imperfection is its own armor. It cannot be predicted. Wrench winked. "Now you're getting it." Later, the crew gathered in the galley, a rare calm amid their constant motion. The lighting was low, the air thick with the smell of reheated protein packs, pretending to be stew. Imani was smiling for the first time in days. "I intercepted a coded message from the Arden Rim. Rebel fleets are forming. They're using the broadcast as proof the Empire can bleed." "See," Wrench said, slapping the table. "Told you blowing up a superweapon was good PR." Amari rolled her eyes. "You nearly got us all vaporized." "Details," Wrench said. Ria watched them, her crew laughing softly in the half-light. For a moment, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they'd done enough to shift the galaxy's balance. Then the comm panel crackled to life. Amari frowned. "We're not transmitting." Imani checked the frequency. "It's coming to us." Encrypted in human code. The room fell silent. Ria stepped forward. Put it through. Static filled the air, then a voice, rasped, distorted, but unmistakably hers. "Miss me?" The crew froze. Amari whispered, "That's impossible." Wrench blinked. Either she's got a twin, or someone's haunting the network. Ria's eyes narrowed. Playback origin. Imani traced the signal. "It's bouncing through a dozen relay stations. Hard to pin down, but it's moving like it doesn't want to be found." Vecta spoke quietly. "The Dreadnought's AI?" Ria shook her head. "No, that thing was destroyed. This the sound alive." The recording continued. "They think they silence me, but you can't erase what adapts. Keep moving. Keep building. The Baba Yaga is everywhere they fear the dark." Then silence. The crew exchanged looks. Wrench broke it first. "Okay. Creepy inspirational ghost message received. What now?" Ria exhaled slowly. "Now we make sure she, or whatever's left of her, was right." In the following days, they moved through the border systems, spreading fragments of data, amplifying the broadcast, arming outposts with hope disguised as code. Rhea oversaw it all with precision born of habit and necessity. Each act of rebellion was a spark. Each spark a contagion. The Empire retaliated, of course, raids, purges, propaganda campaigns. But for the first time, its reaction was uneven. Its perfect machinery faltered under the weight of unpredictability. Amari analyzed intercepted Thrixon fleet reports. They're losing control of their own logistics. Civil divisions are splitting. Rhea studied the data, because their systems can't model chaos. Every human decision they try to predict breaks their algorithms further. Wrench smirked. So, basically we're too stupid to lose? Rhea gave him a look. Too unpredictable to be controlled. One evening, as the ship drifted near a quiet nebula, Imani stood at the viewport. The gas cloud shimmered pink and gold, swirling like paint in water. Rhea joined her. You're quiet. Imani smiled faintly. Just thinking how beautiful it all is. Even out here, after everything we've done, space still makes room for beauty. Beauty's resilient, Rhea said. So are we. Imani glanced at her. Do you think the Baba Yaga lives? Somewhere out there. Rhea didn't answer immediately. Maybe. Or maybe she became something bigger, an idea that doesn't need a body anymore. Then what are we? Imani asked. Rhea turned from the window, eyes steady. We're the proof that she was right. The Revenant's hand powered down its engines, letting the nebula's glow bathe the hull in soft light. The crew gathered once more on the bridge. No grand speeches this time, only the shared silence of people who had survived the impossible. Rhea looked at each of them. Amari's restless intelligence, Imani's unwavering faith, Wrench's reckless spark, Vecta's tentative curiosity, and felt something rare, pride without regret. They'll come for us again, Amari said quietly. They always do, Rhea replied. Wrench stretched his arms. Then we'll just improvise. Seems to be our thing. Imani smiled. And if they call us monsters? Rhea met her gaze. Then we remind them what monsters can do when they believe in something worth protecting. Outside, the nebula flared, painting the stars in shifting colors. The ship turned slowly toward the unknown, its engines lighting once more. The galaxy was changing, fractured, burning, alive. And humanity, stubborn and strange and endless,